Yes, working. Just a couple of seconds and then will be your time. So, good morning to everyone.
Morning.
Today we are 16th of March 2024, and let's have a wonderful day. So let's start with a quick prayer. Father, that art in heaven, hallowed be your name. That your presence could be felt everywhere, specifically with this group that are getting together for a bit more than 2 years to study mediumship. And we know that with mediumship, a lot of things will come together. Help us out to learn the best we can about this topic, to help ourselves and to help others, to evolve and to grow up. Be with us today and always. So be it.
So be it.
So, let me share this book with you, and we'll take from there. For some reason, let's see if I can see you guys here a different way. Yeah, got better. All right, so today we are continuing with a subject called obsession. I, in particularly, appreciate a lot the subject, as it is one of the things that we help using mediumship. It is one of the things that we learn how to prevent using our mediumship. And it's also something that quite often is so misunderstood by the spiritists and by the public in general. And when I mean by the public, I extend that to the science people, to the doctors, to the therapists, people that are helping day-to-day people to get better. They don't have that kind of knowledge, or the great majority don't. And when they are in face of such scenario, I think would be very positive if they have acquired this kind of knowledge to merge with what they know. In Brazil, there are some universities. They are talking right now about spirituality, about obsession. There is one university in the south of Brazil that they even have like a regular class about the subject. And that's positive. Even if the people that are doing the university do not believe in such a thing, at least when they will be forced, or when they become acquainted with some cases like that, at least they will think about it, or they have a better chance to think about it. So let's start. I will start on the 242, so we can get a quick through, and we continue. As we have said, obsession is one of the greatest obstacles of mediumship, and it is also one of the most frequent. Hence, every effort should be taken to combat it, especially since, apart from the personal harm resulting from it, it comprises an absolute obstacle the purity and veracity of communications. I will stop here. It is one of the greatest obstacles for the mediumship, because the mediums are afraid of it. They are really scared of being enrolled in such a process. And sometimes, because the people are so scared about it, they don't want to even start to practice or to use the mediumship they have. Effort to combat, I think we already spoke to at length. How to behave, how to protect ourselves, not only in face of obsession, but on the day-to-day thing. It is the same thing we have to do to protect ourselves against obsession. Now, talking about purity and veracity of communications, we have something that's a bit different. How can an obsession interfere with the veracity of the communications? Well, if you do have a medium that clearly is facing an obsession case, chances are that what he or she will produce could be a bit deviated from the truth. And even though there are the protection and everything we know, an obsession case could evolve to something like really complicated, and the person will not be able to get rid of it. Not that easy. So there is a possibility that the communication given by the medium is a communication given by the obsessor himself or herself. And how to identify that? There isn't a specific formula, and it's very hard to identify and to evaluate. The best thing to do is to always be cautious on any communication. And if you do know that a person is in this kind of process, we have to double, triple our attention. Okay? Since obsession to any degree is always the result of coercion, and since the coercion can never be exerted by a good spirit, it follows that every communication given through an obsessed medium is of suspect origin and merits no confidence at all. If perchance something good may be found in it, it is necessary to keep it and reject everything else that displays the least reason for doubt. A lot of people will interpret this sentence as it's better not take a chance, not take any risk, and throw everything in the bin. A lot of people will also interpret this sentence to say, well, if there is this risk, I don't want to be medium, I don't want to start practicing my mediumship. But what we should be paying attention is that we need to be thorough. We need to be careful with anything that comes in our way, anything that is produced as a result of a mediumship phenomenon, right? But we should not simply discard everything. How many people with great potential have been discouraged or felt discouraged to start because of a misinterpretation or an extreme interpretation? We need to use common sense on everything we do, especially on the mediumship. obsession is recognized by the following characteristics. 1, a spirit insistence on communicating, whether or not the medium desires it, through writing, audition, typology, etc., and its opposition to all other spirits to do so. Over the years, I had one case like that, and was not simple, because the medium thought it was a good spirit. The medium thought the spirit was there to help. The medium thought they had to do a work together, because it was a good spirit to do something good. And then when we start to talk to the spirit, a lot of nonsense came from him. And if he was a good spirit, how could be so unbalanced the communication? How it could be difficult to do few things through his communication? And this process lasts a couple years, until we decide to squeeze a bit more, and the medium felt very, very uncomfortable, because we were targeting his benefactor. We were targeting that good spirit that wanted to do good things through him. And he moved away. He went to another place, or I don't know, he lost contact with the medium. But let's pay attention to what I said. Couple years. So we really evaluated, we really tried different things. And because we were in a spirit center that we had 4 different meetings a week, we were able to move the medium from meeting 1 to meeting 2. We really tried, and we could not succeed. But the main difficulty we had was the medium perception and his or non-acceptance of what we were trying to show to him. He was really involved by the spirit in a way that he was not prepared to listen to anything we were saying to protect him and to help the spirit. He was simply not willing to. And this could happen to us, right? Imagine if we start to believe that I'm receiving Jesus himself. Jesus is my medium. I'm Jesus' medium. He is my benefactor directly. And everything I say is coming from Jesus. I'm not saying it's not possible, but I'm saying it's difficult, very difficult, right? And our pride plays a massive role in those situations, because I want to be the Jesus medium, of course. I want to be the most renowned medium ever. I want to be the best medium of our meeting, at least. And things like that could be very dangerous, very tricky. So we need, as best as we can, remain humble. And if someone, I saw what you guys studied last week, one thing that Munir was talking to you, and if someone coming your way trying to say, well, Pablo, something's a bit weird happening to you, and let's keep an extra attention on what is happening. It's not because we don't love Pablo, we don't like Pablo, we don't want Pablo to play with us, we don't want Pablo to be part of the group. No, we are trying to protect Pablo. And if it is a malevolent spirit, we are also helping the spirit. But 9 out of 10, Pablo will not accept very well what we just said to him. Pablo will think we don't like him, Pablo will think that we're trying to diminish himself or his mediumship. He may stay with us for a little bit longer, and the process continue to the point that he will feel it is impossible to be with this group. I'm above all of them, and they don't see that. And he will move away. And when he decides to move away, quite often driven by the spirits that are doing that to him, he may well try to find another group, and he won't be unprotected per se, but he could also find a way to be by himself. And then what could happen could be unpredictable. It's hard to say what could happen. But what we can take on board is, if through our path, someone coming to us and say, well, watch out, something is happening. That is a bit weird, those communications you are having. That's a bit weird, your behavior in this, and this situation. Let's not feel angry about what we just heard or with the person who is telling you that something is happening. Let's just take that on board, and let's be more attentive. Let's be thorough in everything we do, right? And I'm using Pablo as an example as a medium, but I can now use Pablo as an example as indoctrinator. You are not conducting very well your conversations. You become too aggressive, or you become too, how can I say, you're becoming someone that is using practices that are not related to the spiritism, for example, and he will not accept it. He may decide to come for us and say, well, I'm not going to listen to benefactors anymore because I know everything. A bit problematic, that. Guys, we don't need to study anymore. We know everything already. We just need to work now. It's something else. I don't need to study because my benefactor knows everything. And everything I said here so far, I heard before. So it's true. It can happen. So we need to be careful. Hi, Osoli.
Morning, everybody.
Morning.
Guilherme, Sherry. Yeah. Hi, everybody. I would like to know, you told, it was really or only like example? You mean Pablo? And I'm so sorry, but I don't know what to talk about. What you told about.
And I'm not understanding what is your question. Can you elaborate?
It was only one example.
No, it was not. I'm giving an example of a true fact that has happened in the past.
Pablo.
Not with
Not
Pablo.
with me.
Not with Pablo.
This I asked.
Yeah.
I thank you. Good.
If
Not, you know, because I associated with when I slept. It was time, Guilherme. I heard the very, very nice the spirit, and I saw wonderful things, and it was when the spirit is communicated also. But after I usually I usually have a good things about then another spirits and communicate in another medium, because I would like they do the same with me when it's my time. Okay, and sadly I feel no, I didn't feel. I only disappear. I asked that to have this has happened, and I said, "Oh, Judy, maybe it's because I disappeared. Eh, I would like to know." So you answered it, not with Pablo. It was one example, but it's not about because it's happened. I'm so sorry, but I feel, and I asked it to Pablo and to Rafael if they notice that I disappear. Some I slept, and it's not the same thing. You talk about it's not the same thing. It's not obsession. It's not the or.
So what I would
I must
suggest.
ask.
So what I would suggest that we return to the topic. That is our study, right? And as I was not present when what you described, it's better that you speak directly with them because I wasn't there, so it wouldn't be fair to me to say. Okay. Also, I would like to highlight you all that would be very uncharitable from myself to speak about anyone here if the person was present or anything like that. So I would like to reiterate that all examples I give does not include anyone from this group. Okay. Hi, Pablo.
Well, you always use me as an example, but
Yes.
I'm not bothered about it. But what came to my mind is you were starting this topic about like specifically with mediumship. So mediums experiencing these, or people noticing mediums experiencing this. But I can imagine that in spiritist centers, this could be something that would be quite common for people to reach out to spiritist centers saying like, I feel like I have been I'm under obsession, or I'm not feeling like myself, or so I imagine that this like knowledge of what obsession is and how to identify obsession would be something that would be very beneficial, not only for extensive mediums, but also for like, you know, the general spiritists or like general population.
Pablo, I always advocate that on the Spiritist Center, we must study obsession to everyone. For mediums, is a level above. I should not advocate. I should force people to study obsession because this is something we will face through our exercises, right? And there is something that is important to say, that if we have someone coming to the Spiritist Center feeling physical effects, sensations, situations like we are normally talking here, they may do not know, but they are mediums. Okay? If you don't have any sensibility, yes, you may have an obsession process and you are part of it, but you will not feel the same as someone that has a higher degree of sensitivity. And this higher degree of sensitivity means that you are medium, right? It doesn't mean that you will work your mediumship. You should, but it does not mean that you will. It does not mean that you want. It doesn't mean that you will take any advice we may give you. But if you see someone clearly saying is bothered by something else, like you said, this person is a medium, as we call, right? Rosali, is your hand stand up or you want to talk again?
Again, and you see, I asked it because I asked it to Pablo and Rafael. Oi, sorry, I feel that I slept some sleep for a while. I think in some minutes. I don't know. It's first time happens in my life in a mediumship. So, and why I asked and I will try it, never happened. But I feel very, very good that time because I saw movements. I saw not a face of spirits, but I saw them, and I saw the lights, wonderful lights, and so suddenly
I see.
I
I
slept.
see. I see that it's important to you, but it's not in our scope of our study today. So I will ask Pablo. Pablo, you were together during this event in this room. Have you explained to her what you felt?
We we talked briefly, me and Rafael, after the session. But if it needs be, we can talk in private later.
Yeah, I think it's better. All right, cool. All right, so let's continue then. 2. Illusion is such that, in spite of the intelligence of the medium, it prevents him or her from recognizing the falseness and ridiculousness of the communications received. So he's giving us an example here that the medium could be very well clever, known quite a lot, but when he or she is experiencing this situation, is not able to recognize that what he or she is saying is ridiculous, is totally untruth, is against science. It could happen to anyone. Again, in my personal opinion, one of the things that will make things difficult is our pride. I want to be the best medium ever. I want to be the medium that will discredit the whole thing that happens before me, and now after me will be different. Things like that. So it can happen. It happens more frequently than we think, and we need to be very careful, okay? 3, a belief in the infallibility and indisputable identity of the spirits who communicate and who state lies and absurdities under respectable and venerated names. I've been told myself many times, why do you need a name? Because I'm a very curious person and I like to make questions. And when I see that one spirit's coming once, twice, 3 times, he knows who I am, and I want to know who he is or she is. And quite often, I used to ask, who am I talking to? This is me. And quite often they say to me, why do you need a name? Don't you know that you need to evaluate the content of the message? Is that not enough? But I'm a very curious person. So, but what I would say to everyone is evaluate in depth the content of the message. Evaluate in depth the content of the message. The name given by the spirit is not what is important. What the message he is passing through is what is important. The message he's passing through is important. There's nothing bad if the spirits sign the message on the end, or that's not what I'm saying. But if you have a signature on the bottom, it increases your responsibility to evaluate if the message received is in accordance with the level of spirit who is signing. I think I mentioned here a few times, during the COVID period, we had messages floating on the internet, left to right, with nice names signing on the bottom. And when we start to evaluate those messages, or if you cannot even evaluate the message, if you can compare the message from this spirit from the past and what you felt was a bit weird, you will see that cannot be the same spirit. Harmonia.
No, Guilherme, good morning, everyone. Yes, Guilherme, I think a key point here, because we're talking about obsession, and, the cases, you mentioned some cases where the medium get really touchy about, evaluating the content of the message and so on. But we should forget, when dealing with mediumship, we are all apprentices. And sometimes our ego, overtakes it and takes control of everything. And no, I'm a lawyer. How come my message is full of errors? Or, I received the spirit of so and so. Why are you saying, they are not here with me, but it's just a simple, who knows, that is. So I think it's important to put ourselves in the right position when being either medium or dialoguers. We are there to learn and to be as humble as possible. And I think in a medium, sometimes they have problems when people start to open their eyes to the possibility of obsession, or, a spirit who says that he is someone who he is not, and he becomes clear to other people, not the medium. It's the ego, is no, how come no, me? Oh, no, I know what I'm doing. I know who they are. This kind of thing, So when dealing with mediumship, we should sit at the last row, be sitting at the back, humble, as being invited, and there just to do our simple job the best way we can.
Maria. And there's something out that you saw by yourself many times. When we think we know everything, our benefactors will bring some cases to the meeting to remind us that we don't know anything. Because we think we control everything, we know everything, that we can do anything we want. And then, oh dear, what should I do? What should I do here is the first problem, because we don't know what to do. And you rightly said, we don't know nothing. We are eternal students. And that's why we advocated that we must study, period.
Yeah.
Not on the beginning, not on the middle, not on the end. We must study, a continuous study about everything that we deal with, and things that, as we know, progress. And as they progress, we need to study again, because sometimes there are things we haven't had a chance to read or to study, and we are kind of pushed into that direction, right? So
what came into my mind when you were talking about the reaction of some mediums that don't want their messages to be evaluated and even criticized, is what came into my mind was what Jesus said. When your enemy makes you walk 1 mile, walk 2 with him. Do more. So if people invite you to, share your message and evaluate, accept that and ask even for more. Just make sure that I'm not doing, the job in the wrong way possible and exposing myself to obsession or whatever. So it's a lesson there, from the gospel. Very simple one. Don't overreact to things, because if we are in a mediumship group, we are all together trying to do our best for the good of ourselves and the spirits, because we are also benefiting from that.
And we can never forget that we are learning. And through the learning process, we can trip and fall. And what we need to do, stand up again, take the dust, and here we go. We start again. So we all can make mistakes. We all can be in face of something that we don't know, we never experienced, we never heard about it. It doesn't mean that it's fake or it's an obsession case, not at all. But it's something that is pushing us to study a bit more. And then things will become more easy. And it's part of the continuous learning process that we all have to accept that we have to face. Very good. Very good, Munia. Number 4, the medium's acceptance of praise from spirits who communicate through his or her intermediation. I'm a medium. And there's one spirit that always coming through me, saying very nice things about me. I'm here to guide you all. I'm here to teach you all. I'm the best medium me as a benefactor ever worked with. You are the best student, or whatever. You pick one thing. Watch out. There's something weird. Because the benefactors I know, they don't do that. They are more like putting us in the right path than other things, right? So if you do have a spirit coming and trying to sweet you too much, there's something we need to be careful, all right? Our propensity for avoiding those who could provide enlightenment about the situation. We see that very often too. I'll leave Pablo alone now. I'm going to Munir. I noticed that Munir is having a situation that's a bit different. And I will come to Munir, or somebody else will come to Munir, and start to have a conversation with Munir, trying to show him that, Munir, perhaps you should look into this direction to see if there's nothing there. He will not be happy, because as he's part of this process, there's always an ego boost from the spiritual world trying to promote his pride and things like that. He will not take that very well on board. And then the person will come back again in another week or another day. Did you check, Munir, what I said to you? Did you think that is a possibility? You know what? You know what? It's better that I go away from that person. And if that person still keep annoying me, I may decide to go away from that group, because what am I doing here? I'm above all of this. This situation is making me feel sick, or this thing is really disturbing me, blah, 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 right? It's natural. The spirits who are around Munir want him to go away from any possible help. How many times I've seen people leaving the Spiritist Center because they were so uncomfortable with people coming closer to them, trying to help them, and they leave. And sometimes when they leave saying that, well, before the Spiritism, I never had that problem before. I came to this center, Spiritist Center, I was much happier than I am now. And it does happen more often than we think. But when it does happen, we need to be attentive. We need to be attentive, because an obsession is not only one person obsession. When we do face an obsession case, it's a process for the family, it's a process for the mediumship group, it's a process for the Spiritist Center. An obsession case is a learning method that comes in our way. And it's not only for us. It's for us, for our husband, for our wife, for our kids, for our working colleagues, for our Spiritist friends, and it's for a group. Sometimes Munir was the first one. And then Pablo will also start to have the same, and will follow Munir's path. So we need to be attentive to help those that are suffering at the most, but also attentive not to allow that to spread, because it does spread. Especially speaking about Spiritist Center, if there is an obsession, and the objective of this obsession is to destroy a activity, be aware, it's not only one spirit that's coming. It's a cloud of spirits coming, trying to disturb not only one person, but to disturb the whole group. So we need to be attentive. All right? Offense number 6, offense taken at criticisms of the communications received. That is in line with what we've spoken already. So when we do have a communication, we need to take a step back, evaluate the communication. When the indoctrinator is evaluating the message, he's not evaluating the medium or the person, he's evaluating the content of the message. And when he does the evaluation, it's to help the medium, not the other way around. It's to help the group, not the other way around. It came to my mind here as well, one time, few times, where through this process, one medium started to give communications targeting other member of the group. I'll pick myself now. I'm the medium, and I'm starting giving message saying that Liz is not working enough. Liz needs to work more. She needs to be more attentive. We are in front of a group, and because I pick one already, there is something weird, right? Because the benefactors, they don't do that, right? But this spirit is targeting Liz. Perhaps she's doing everything all right. But this spirit is trying to discredit Liz for some reason, or to make her uncomfortable, to make her unhappy, or whatever. So things like that happen. So we need to have the clear picture of what those benefactors are trying to do. Why I'm saying benefactors? Because they will show up like they are the benefactors. They'll give you nice words, they speak nice sentences, but in the middle of those nice sentences, but Liz is not working enough. But Liz is not doing something, or Liz should do something. So we need to be attentive of the content of the message, all right? An incessant and inopportune need to write. Let's go to the beginning, where we don't know nothing about Spiritism, we don't know nothing about our mediumship itself, and we write everywhere. Many people start like that. It's very common. And what is our goal, at least? To bring that person to a level of equilibrium, of balance, that he or she will receive messages in the right place, in the right time. Imagine if we just decide to go to the supermarket, we are in the queue, and then, sorry, I need to write. And you start to write in the supermarket. Something is not right, okay? If you think it's right, it's not. Something is not working very well. So, but if you do see those, he's speaking here about writing, but could be talking, could be anything. Mediumship has to be controlled. But I want to help. Help in the right place and the right time. I want to help everyone. It's impossible. We cannot help everyone. And to help, we need to have a method. We need to have a dedicated place to do, or at least create some boundaries to be able to do. Otherwise, something is wrong. But what can we do then? Well, on the Spiritist Center, we come to learn. We learn to control our abilities. We learn to control the phenomena. Because those spirits, they do not control us. We have the control of our physical body. We have the control when I want, or when it's correct to allow a communication to happen or not, right? So when you see people writing everywhere or saying everywhere, I see spirits, I see this, I see that. Let's move a step back. This person needs orientation. This person needs mediumship education, all right? It's fair to say that a lot of times it does happen, but it's not because it's correct. It's because it's a wake-up call to the medium to try to find the proper assistance. Number 8, any form of physical coercion that dominates the will and forces one to act or speak without wanting to. Hmm. People may say that, well, that's a possession already. I prefer to have a step back and consider that this is a wake-up call. If I'm having that level of coercion, something is happening, right? So my first reaction would be to consider as a wake-up call. Why is that? Because sometimes there's nothing already in place. It's really to give you a shake, to make you realize that you need to do something about it. And then you try to find assistance. But a lot of people, they will try to go to the hospital, find an assistance over there. They may find some assistance, sometimes may not be the best one, sometimes it may be the best one, I cannot evaluate. But when we do have such a level of coercion, and if it's not a known disease, it could be mediumship. A cry for help for mediumship, okay? Continuous noises and disturbances around the medium, they are either caused by the medium him or herself, or that have the medium as their target. From time to time, we hear people talk, oh, they're moving at home, things are disappearing at home. There are noises here, there are noises there. Yeah. Maybe the person himself, maybe someone living on the same place, maybe someone that's not too far from there. We don't know, right? But could be an obsession taking place? Yeah, could be. Could be. Could be because, let's say, Cleo, she's really scared about noises at home. Things moving, things disappearing. So they know that is a kind of string they can pull to make her very uncomfortable, to the level that she can develop a paranoia. And then we have some more serious process. So yeah, if you do see some of those items mentioned above, is something that we need to be careful. It's something that we need to evaluate. It does not necessarily mean you have an obsession. It does not necessarily mean you are in face of an obsession case. Could be. And something that I really like to say is that do not jump into conclusions. Do not jump too quickly into conclusions. Because people that have studied Spiritism for 3 months, they are very eager to say, oh, that's an obsession. And people that study for 10 years, even more, because they think they know more. But before you define that is really an obsession, you need to evaluate, and this evaluation could take several months, could be even longer. And in the end, may not be an obsession at all. So do not jump into conclusions, okay? What time is it? I'm speaking, I'm not checking the time. Well, still have. So let's move to the item 244. In light of the danger of obsession, the questions arise as to whether it is not actually regrettable to be a medium at all, and whether mediumship itself provokes obsession. In other words, whether this is not evidence of the inappropriateness of spirit's communication. Our response is simple, and we ask that it be responded with care. I will read the response before I make my comments. Let's see if it's not that different. Since it was neither mediums or not spiritists who created spirits, but rather it was the spirits who gave origin to the spiritists and mediums, and since the spiritists are simply human souls, it is obvious that spirits have existed as long as humans have, and that they have always exerted the beneficial or harmful influence on humankind. The mediumistic faculty is for them only a way to manifest themselves. And in the absence of this faculty, they do so in 1,000 other ways that are more concealed or less so. Oh, it's a long answer. Therefore, as it is a long answer and I will get lost, I'm going step by step and make comments. Otherwise, I know myself, I'll get lost. Okay, otherwise, actually, regrettable the medium. Well, basically, that question here is one of the things we already spoken today, right? In order towards the evidence and probability, our response is simple. Well, spirits, they do exist before mediumship, are studied or practiced way before spiritism, way before any other kind of practice with spirits. Right. We know as well that mediumship is organic. That means if we are mediums, it's because our physical body has a great participation on it. It's not the only one, but has a great participation on it. When he says here about mediumistic faculty, it's for them only a way to manifest themselves. Mediumistic phenomena are described on every ancient book we have in history. But we do not describe the mediums. So the phenomena was there from day one. As we went through the centuries, we start to study about people that had those characteristics and are called mediums. But sometimes they will not use the person to communicate or to do the phenomena. They may use only the fluid of the person, and the person has nothing or very little to interfere with whatever happens. For example, the poltergeist cases, like the Sister Fox. So things like that is also a possibility. Therefore, it would be erroneous to believe that spirits only exert their influence through written or verbal communications. That's beautiful. Their influence is ongoing, and those who do not concern themselves with spirits or who do not even believe they exist are nonetheless exposed to it, like everyone else, even more so by not having any means of defense at their disposal. Back in Brazil, on the beginning of the Spiritism, a lot of people used to say that Spiritism was a factory of crazy people. We heard that a lot. And anything that was really incomprehensible, people used to say that was related to the spirits. Sometimes not even to Spiritism, but to the spirits. But look what he's saying here. Spiritism, more specifically, mediumship, the knowledge of mediumship, is creating a defense to all of us. Let's assume that we never spoken about it, we never read about it, we never heard anything about it. And if we face some pictures like we paint here sometimes, would we think it's anything related to the spirits or mediumship? Of course not. We never heard about that. Would be what? The devil himself, maybe, depending on our beliefs. Could be anything else, but not the spirits. Not a natural mechanism that we all have, we all possess. So, through the knowledge of the spiritism and the mediumship, a calling to the Spiritism, because there are other ways of practicing the mediumistic phenomena, it does create us a situation where we have a kind of shield. We have knowledge to protect us, or at least to know where to go, whom to ask for help. How many people end up in a hospice because they thought they were really crazy? I'm listening to voices. This is one of the most common ones. I'm listening to voices. And what is the first reaction? I'm going to the doctor. I'm listening to voices. And the doctor rightly will prescribe something to try to help. But when I'm listening to voices, could be a trauma, could be a disease like, that could be mediumship. And if it is mediumship, you will not solve that with drugs. You will not. So, as we know a little bit more now how to handle mediumship, we are better placed to help ourselves and eventually to help someone that's coming closer to us. Because one thing that I truly believe is that every time that someone goes under a process, a mediumistic process, even if it's an unbalanced one, there is always someone that will approach them to help. There is always someone that will be not too far away that could help. If the person will accept the help is another thing. But there is always someone that will come to you. Well, don't you want to go to that spiritualist church? Don't you want to go and pay a visit on the Spiritist Center? Don't you want to go there is always someone that will come to you and say something trying to help you. If you believe that's a possibility, great. You may grab that like a life buoy. But if you do not believe at all, you will simply disregard any comment about it. And we see that quite often on the mediumship meetings. When people discarnated, the spirits, they come to the mediumship meeting and they clearly said, nobody never said that to me. And then we ask, if I have said that to you when you were alive, would you believe me? Of course not. You see? So there is always that kind of thing that happens to us, and it will happen around us and with us. Okay? So I will stop here. And I think that is a long answer, so I think we have more things to discuss here. I will stop here. I'm happy for today. I will stop sharing so we can go out to the same meeting room. Yes. Munir, could you do our final prayer for today, please? You are on mute.
Thanks again. So let's now close our eyes, join our thoughts in a big group, sending out love to each and every one, not only on the physical side, but on the spiritual one. For this study group is much larger than the eye can see. So we thank the benefactors for allowing us to be part of it, for the teachings that we receive, the clarifications, and the inspirations. So let me learn a bit more every week. And we ask for their help to put into practice the knowledge that we receive, so that they not become stagnant water and start to move, transforming ourselves. So in this ambient of peace, of harmony, we ask their permission to end our meeting today. So be it.
So be it. Well, thank you everyone for your participation. That was very good. And I'm looking forward to see you next week.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. God bless.